Greetings, this is Rosalind Parks with nnvnews.com. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 is a piece of legislation that prohibits discrimination in voting. It was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson on August 6, 1965. And, ironically, Congress has amended the act 5 additional times.
As what we've seen with the executive orders, are they more symbol than substance?
Well, indeed, they are important, and they are a step towards our voting rights protection. However, right now in the Supreme Court, I believe it's Bronovich versus the DNC. That case can effectively gut the Voting Rights Act. And furthermore, there's a deeper level to all of this voting stuff. We've had the Biden executive order. There's a bill that passed in the House that is probably dead when it hits the Senate. And then there's the Supreme Court decision that's coming. However, the deeper issue is understanding that voting is the fundamental mechanism to citizenship. In a democracy, voting is the fundamental mechanism to citizenship in a democracy. And if we continue to have to protect our voting rights, if we continue to have to worry about bills and executive orders to protect our voting rights, what does that say about our citizenship? What type of citizens are we? Are white Americans worried about the Voting Rights Act? Right? Are people in Iowa concerned about the Supreme Court decision? They're not, because they understand that they are citizens and they will be protected and their vote will be protected. We have to look at the deeper issue of how long do we plan on playing this role as second-class citizens?
The best gauge as to the percentage of dissatisfaction amongst the population is reflected by those who refuse to exercise their right to vote, as many continue to look for justice in a system that has never shown equity.
As an early assessment, is this executive order and some of the other executive orders that President Joe Biden issued, is this an indicator that, hey, we may have somebody, Black folks may have somebody in office that's finally going to listen to our needs and show gratitude for our votes, or is it still too early to say so?
I say it's too early to say so, but I would like to piggyback on what the brother doctor said about measurables. So Joe Biden has issued an executive order that says he wants to increase voter registration. How much? By how much? What's the numbers? How can I go back 5 years from now, 4 years from now and say Joe Biden's executive order worked or it didn't work? There are no numbers in the bill. So there's no measurables is what I mean. So I'm not too sure how the bill will be. Again, I appreciate the effort. I understand there may be some symbolism there, but I'm not too sure how effective his executive order, I should say, will be. And as it relates to, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
And as it relates to whether or not we have a friend in the White House, I think we would be foolish to assume that Joe Biden, who has 50 years of legislative history that has been against African Americans, the 3 strikes law and mass incarceration, to readily assume that he is now a changed man. He's our friend. We have to be very careful about that mode of thought, that line of thinking. Watch him very carefully, and hope that our sister, our AKA sister, is in his ear to maybe guide him towards being a better ally to the Black community.
In other news, as a $27 million civil settlement is announced in the case of the death of George Floyd, defense voices are concerned of a tainted jury pool and has requested a delay of proceedings.
The settlement is not just historic because of the $27 million paid out, but for the impact on social justice, policy reforms, and police reforms, because the financial compensation most directly impact George Floyd and his family, the future of their family. But it is the policy reforms that affects all of us. And many would say that's why the George Floyd Act, whether it's here in Minneapolis, Mayor Fry, or the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, Councilman Ellison, that is being contemplated in Washington, D.C., It impacts all of us, all of us. And that's why this is so historic and significant.
Here with us today is Student Minister Brother Thomas X. Greetings, Brother Thomas.
Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. What impact does George Floyd's family agreeing to a civil suit or civil settlement rather have on the status of Derek Chauvin's criminal prosecution?
Man, I was listening to it this morning as I was headed out to head to the classroom. And all I could think about was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stating before that the enemy will give us an offer that we can't refuse. And so right now, I see that Derek Chauvin's attorney is saying that he's afraid that because the settlement has been made public, that it will bring about a mistrial. But however, with the $27 million that's been given or agreed upon to be given to George Floyd's family, that would not bring George Floyd back. So what it shows, in my humble opinion, is that Black life has a price on it, when Black life is really invaluable. And so with the $27 million, you know, I'm pretty sure that George Floyd's family has never seen that. But this enemy prints money and has an unlimited amount of money that they can dish out, with the money losing its value day after day. But the impact that it has is, in my humble opinion, that really we can be bought off.
Right.
You know?
Right. Now, Judge Cahill allowed Chauvin's attorney to make the Floyd family settlement the issue of concern. Mm-hmm. A member of the prosecution team also agreed with the judge, saying that the settlement announcement was unfortunate. Is this a ploy to dismiss charges against Chauvin?
I honestly think that it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I honestly think that this is most certainly a ploy to dismiss charges, because it took long enough to even begin the process of putting charges on Chauvin. But however, being that this Blue Klux Klan, as our brother student minister Nuri has said so many times, has a wall of protection, I would not doubt that this is a ploy to drop the charges on the enemy, basically this enemy who is taking away our brother from his family.
Now, are the defense and prosecution working together? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, ma'am. So it's nothing that, you know, it's nothing that is surprising, right? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has stated that we can never understand the depths of Satan. So whenever Satan wants to wipe his hand clean, we don't know the lengths to which Satan will go to make sure that his hands are wiped clean. And so, you know, it's something that is it's unfortunate that it's become so common when it comes to this enemy hiding his hands, throwing rock and hiding their hands.
Right. Well, the judge, when he calls back the jurors to determine whether or not they can remain impartial, isn't the judge actually being empowered to further stack jury members?
He definitely is. He's definitely been empowered to stack the jury members. However, what it shows the jury, or those who are even going to be selected to be on the jury, is that if this family was paid off, then what is the reason for us not to see Chauvin as being guilty? So if the ploy is to make sure that Chauvin gets off, then the judge is going to do what he has to do to make sure that his brother gets off. Because the settlement, you know, shows that for the most part, we know that you're guilty. but we want to silence all of those who are fighting on your behalf to make sure that real justice comes about, and not just a symbol of justice in the form of dollar bills.
And would this process, or following this process, likely lead to a mistrial?
We shall see. We shall see. You know, I don't see with all of the evidence that we see being stacked up, it certainly looks as if it's headed that way. Right. However, we shall see.
Okay. All right. Now, the judge has agreed to call jurors back near the opening argument scheduled on March 29th. If the defense is concerned about tainting the jury pool, why wait until opening arguments to call back the jury for questioning?
Get your filter in. Because as you stated earlier, the judge is being empowered to sway jurors. We want to filter out those who may not be willing to submit to deploy itself, right? So we want to do everything possible to make sure we set the table to get what it is that we desire to get, which is, in my humble opinion, a mistrial for Jovis and a dropping of any charges that can possibly be brought up on Jovis. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Jovis, Chavis.
Will these tactics essentially delay the trial even further?
Yes, ma'am. I think they will. I think they will. We can see it. We can see it happening. We can see it happening, and even just looking at the press conference that our brother held, where he was speaking about the George Floyd policy. As long as this enemy can dangle substance in front of us, it prolongs providing the justice in which our people are seeking. So I think that the settlement, the ploy and the games that are being played with the jurors by the judge, I think that it will continue to prolong the case and eventually possibly lead to the mistrial.
Okay. Now, why would a seasoned prosecuting attorney and a city council member announce this settlement during jury selection? Was this a gift to the defense?
Man, your guess will be as good as mine. Sounds like one. Your guess will be as good as mine. Okay. But yeah, it most certainly sounds as if, something, as Keith Sweat said, something just ain't right.
Just ain't right. All right. Thank you, Brother Thomas. Let's pause for a word from our sponsors.
Yes, ma'am.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdahhouse commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at Sajdahhouse.com.
The #BankBlack social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
As law enforcement develops public surveillance technology systems, they increase their ability to listen in on phone calls, track, and monitor people.
So your phone, rather than going to a cell phone tower, will ping off this piece of surveillance technology, and it will be able to identify maybe who's in the area, how many phones are in the area. It will be able to link your phone to a certain location at a certain time.
There's currently no federal law protecting the privacy of adults in public spaces, but one Supreme Court ruling did deal with this issue.
Carpenter v. USA, which just came out in 2018, said that kind of aggregate tracking of people's location through cell phone data constitutes a violation of privacy.
Movement of protesters can also be tracked using a number of other tools.
Stingray data can be combined with a number of other things like face recognition, which can identify you at a protest, or an automated license plate reader if they know that they're going to be maybe followed home by some of this technology so that police can learn where they live. People are going to be afraid to participate in our democracy, in politics, as is our First Amendment right to do so.
St. Louis Police Lieutenant Greg Figg said that genetic psitograph and SDCS was tied to Homeland Security's real-time crime centers. Is this law enforcement on a mission to surveil everyone?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure how familiar you are with a hip-hop group by the name of Goody Mob.
Very.
Goody Mob had a song back in the day.
Yes, they did.
Who's that peeping in my window?
Right.
How? Nobody now. But yet, we've been seeing over the years that this is what it's been leading to. With every upgrade of the iPhone, there's new technology that can track your being. With every upgrade of the Mac computer, there's new technology that can track your whereabouts. The location services, you have to shut them off. Some people put tape over the camera. We go to the extremes just to keep our privacy that really we don't have. And so, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad called this enemy the universal snooper, because every single thing that we do as citizens in general, especially in the time in which we're living in now, where the masses are becoming awakened. Not just the masses of Black people. No, citizens are becoming awakened to the wickedness of this world in which we live. So, we've been seeing this happening.
Now, that song that you were referring to is entitled Cell Therapy.
Cell Therapy. I know the title.
In case some of our viewers don't know, you can find that song on YouTube or on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere where you download your music.
Yes.
Now, is this part, or would you say this is part of COINTELPRO 2.0?
COINTELPRO 2.0. Possibly. As we know, with COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover had a plan to make sure that he wouldn't allow, he didn't desire for a Black Messiah or anyone to be in leadership to awake the masses. And so part of even the technological advances is to make sure that those who are becoming aware, or those who are striving to be revolutionary or innovative in their thinking, are being tracked. It's not just about tracking the whereabouts of us physically, but also tracking the whereabouts of us mentally as well. Yeah. So, I definitely would agree that this is possibly COINTELPRO 2.0.
Now, is Homeland Security using law enforcement and businesses to create a vast interconnected web of public surveillance devices?
Mm-hmm. And so let's take a small business, right? So I'm fortunate enough to be an owner of a couple small businesses, but however, let's take small businesses who are striving to do business within our communities. Now what these surveillance devices have the ability to do is make you an individual who is unwillingly cooperating with some of the tactics that are going on in your community, right? Because of every conversation could be heard along inside of that environment or inside of that community. Now, whatever tactics the police may have going on within that community, your small business unwillingly becomes an agent for the tactics that they're striving to employ within that community.
Now, recently in the news, it was released that a password breach caused a lot of surveillance video to be released or to be accessed that included some school footage, some footage in interrogation rooms. What do you think that means to our communities? Would it be fair to say that this is probably anywhere and everywhere, including in our schools?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I was literally before we began the show, I had gotten a text message about some leaked footage from a school that my son goes to, right? And this leaked footage was very vulgar, right? But this is footage that comes from the cameras in the school that happened to be leaked online. This does not come from a cell phone. And oftentimes we have been encouraged to think that surveillance means safety. Specifically in our communities, we think surveillance means safety, but yet crime does not go down because surveillance is in our community. The wickedness doesn't stop because surveillance is in our community. So I would wholeheartedly agree with the point that the surveillance that is being implemented within the schools, the community, it all serves the purpose of completely stripping us away from having any type of privacy, any type.
Okay. Local businesses are partnering to implement the surveillance and send information back to the Real-Time Crime Center. Will everyone who enters a business have their information swept up by Homeland Security?
I think it's already swept up by Homeland Security. You don't have to sign up for that as a business owner. I think that is something that is already occurring. So it would be, in my humble opinion, it would be interesting to get all of the thorough details behind what all goes into the partnership with these small businesses in their local communities and the authority in those communities. Because over the years, I remember growing up in Chicago, and over the years, we've seen it first started with the surveillance on the light poles or the street lights. Then it began with the surveillance on the traffic signals. Small businesses or businesses itself already have been implementing surveillance over the years. So as things are heating up in this world, just to be clear, this world is literally ending in the way in which we once knew it. I would like to get more details on what it is that authorities are planning to do with the surveillance or with what they're getting from the surveillance that are attached to these small businesses.
Right. Now, we've seen over the years, we've seen cell phone footage of members of our community being held at gunpoint by police in the street and so forth. The excuse is showing signs. We're showing signs of aggression, or we're showing signs that these situations need to be escalated to that point. Do you think innocent people who police claim are showing signs of radicalization will be surveilled?
Why wouldn't they? I think it makes sense. Why wouldn't they? Just being an individual who wants to see change, you're showing signs, right? Sandra Bland, she was quote unquote showing signs when she was just complying to the officer that pulled her over and began asking her questions, right? George Floyd was showing signs when he was handcuffed and his hands were behind his back, but he was just asking him to get his knee off his neck, just striving to be someone who is maneuvering or functioning in a way that shows that you want to see change is a sign in itself. So just because the surveillance is captured of a person showing signs doesn't mean that if something wrongfully happened with or to that person, that justice will be brought about. That's why I say I would like to see more details as to what is going on, what is the plan for the surveillance and the information that's being captured from that surveillance.
Right. Now, before we close out today, I want to get your thoughts on the Versus platform being sold to the Triller Network. What do you think this means for Black ownership?
It's a twofold. It's a twofold. And I say that to say because when I'm reading some of the details that was put out to the public, ownership or some of the shares are given directly to the artists who have been on Versus, right? So it puts those individuals who may not be in the best place as far as quote unquote relevancy or finances, have the opportunity to put them in a position where now they can begin to maneuver and put themselves in a better position. However, as it relates to us building something and exposing to the world to the power in which we have when it relates to business, now we hand over that power to a company that is not, that is not built by those who look like us. Right. The black man, the black man and black woman made Versus what it was. Versus started just off of individuals going live on Instagram because they was bored during quarantine.
That's right.
Right. But now because there has been public investment in Versus, and every time an artist is on there, the streams go up. Those outside of our community begin to look at that as, a way to leverage or a way to buy back the power that they feel that they're losing, because these individuals, these brothers and sisters behind them, began to create a platform using our technology, using our platform. They created a platform that was for free. Now it's worth millions. So, it goes back to what I said initially, the Honorable Minister stating that they give us offers that we can't refuse. And they use such fine language to make us believe that we're winning, when really, when we give up our power, we're losing.
All right. Now, I do have another question for you. Can you talk to me about Burke? What is that?
Well, Burke is a company which myself and 8 other brothers own, and we came up with the company, or we created the company during quarantine. Okay. We were on the phone, and I was conversing with brothers who I've known for almost 20 years. And while conversing, I brought up something from Message to the Black Man, when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad states that we should get with 6 to 8 like-minded individuals. And so we all have, we've been friends for 20 years because we have, some things that we are like-minded on. And so, oftentimes we find every reason to not do business together because of one thing that we see indifferent on. But we see the same on so many things, and the minor details the minor things that we see indifferent on, we didn't allow that to stop us. So what Burke is, it stands for Brothers Earning Righteous Capital. Okay. And so we have an investment group, Burke Investment Group, that component of the company focuses on education, finance, and service. Then we have Burke Transportation, where we own multiple trucks in which we transport. We're in the logistics business. So we have Burke Transportation and Burke Investment Group. Perfect. But it's all Brothers Earning Righteous Capital.
Perfect. Now, it sounds like, and speaking of Black ownership, it sounds like you are doing just that. I want to thank you for joining us today. Before we go, would you please give us your information and how you can be contacted if someone wants to learn more about Burke?
Yes, ma'am. The website for Burke is burkeinvestment.com. That is BERKINVESTMENT.com. Also, you can reach us on Instagram at Burke_LLC. Also, you can reach me on Instagram individually at Brother Thomas X. That's at BRO Thomas X. Or you can visit my website, www.brotherthomasx.com.
All right. Thank you, Brother Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for tuning into nnvnews.com. Please like, share with us your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Rosalind Parks with nnvnews.com.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.